Welcome to another edition, everybody, of the Cat and the Mat. Yes, this is like episode what, 7, 6, 5? I have no idea.
Man, I don't know. I don't know. It's
We've
yeah,
we've
I
we've done a
do have
handful.
yeah, we've done yeah, definitely done a handful, that's for sure. I don't know if I can count all my polls, but that's yeah.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. We're still here. It's no matter what, I think I hear some kind of iced spike drink behind the scene there, whatever
Oh,
you're
you
drinking.
do? Yes, there is. Yes, it's relaxing time.
Like some whiskey. This is like a totally different vibe compared to your morning show with Tracker.
Well, yeah, I'm just rolling out of bed in the morning, and I need to like slap myself in the face to like wake up. So, you know.
All right, I'm gonna share this on X too. But yeah, I mean, I think you got the charts here rolling out. I think why don't we just dive right into it with that weekly Shimoku cloud there with the S&P 500? What do you think?
Well, I got a couple of ideas on this one, and it's going right back up to resistance. But will it make it to this 50-week moving average at 567.19 before we get any kind of reversal? I don't know, because if we go back to the monthly chart, if we do take a look at that, it did already wick above the monthly conversion line again. So we got flipped to resistance already, and that's at 561.75. So I'm not sure just yet if it's ready to go much higher. We'll see how it develops throughout the whole month. I mean, the month is young. It can do anything in the month and still close back below it and then kind of have like a bearish setup for a bearish continuation. So that 561.75 is going to be an important factor by the end of April. But in the meantime, on the weekly chart, we are holding that cloud. We're holding this 1.414, the 548.25. So that's our range, I would say, between the 548 and the 567. And we'll see which one breaks. But so far, support held perfectly as expected. So potentially a little bit higher before we find out if it's going to get rejected or not. And the QQQ, same situation, except this one opened a little bit deeper in the cloud, but actually now it's going back above the cloud and the 1.272 at 465, and the 50 week is all the way up there at 487. So there we are in the same kind of a range. But if we look at the monthly, that conversion line is way up here at 482. So it does have a ways to go back to revert to the mean if it wanted to go up there. We'll see. But still just in a range. And that is currently 465 up to 487. And then we have the IWM, which is a little bit of a tighter of a range with the bottom of the cloud looking like your support zone now at 195, but it is trying to get back above this 198. And I was basically showing Kat, and we were talking about it before the show started, that 50% level is really important in the past. We can just see how big of a resistance that really was all of 2023, right? All of 2023 was super, and even 22. And now it's like flipping to a support. So if we can continuously close above this 198.80, I think there is a good chance of just going higher, because we got that back test again. I didn't think it would ever get down there again, but it got down there again. And here we are. So I guess 198.80, we're going to pay attention to that. And we can put on the Ichimoku cloud again and just say, hey, it has the potential to go up towards the top of that cloud and even that 618 fib right here, the 208. So we can just say that's basically our range until one of those breaks, like 198.80 and 208.74. And I did want to show the SMH too, just because that was an interesting one where it finally touched the 100-week moving average after it broke out basically in 2023. So almost 2 years was the last time it touched that 100-week moving average, and it did it today. So can the semis actually stabilize and continue the journey higher? I think if they are going to do it, it would happen right now, right? It would happen now. And it does actually have a great potential to go at least all the way back to the 230s before there's any more scaries, right? And so we can just consider that our range, really like the 205 all the way up to the 230s here. So ultimately, my conclusion is everything is really just stuck in a range and trapped under resistance above. And we don't know if it's ready to break out, because it hasn't broken out yet. So we have to just take it one level at a time and wait for some kind of confirmation. And right now, we do not have that.
Well, where should we put our money then? Or should we just go all in cash? I mean, that's
Well, I'm buying the Zimbabwe dollar. I heard that's actually a pretty good investment this time around.
better than the Turkish lira. I think it's the lira has anyway. Is there seasonality to that? I think they should say that. But yeah, I don't know. Like if you just look at the semiconductor chart right there, like if you care about the whole like Adam and Eve kind of thing there, it just looks like a big giant Adam and Eve top. Like I don't know, man. It looks scary.
It does look scary. I think what's even scarier to me, it was the monthly chart, but it was months ago that it was scary. It was months ago when it started to close below that conversion and the 1.618. That was the warning sign right there. Because like look at all these wicks up top. That's like distribution 100%. All these wicks on the monthly chart. And sure enough, boom, collapse right down to support. And there is the baseline below it at 199. So I mean there is room to go lower. And it's still quite extended from the cloud, so it has potential to go to the 190s and stuff. So yeah, it's a little bit precarious, but I mean weekly support is holding. So I think what we're going to see is probably some rally, at least maybe in April sometime, back up to the 220s 230s, right? And then it'll decide what to do, but it's not going to go in a straight line and break this, that's for sure. It's probably maybe going to do something like this. Just, oh, we're going to fake you out. We're going to pretend like we're going to break out and then boom.
Yeah.
You know, it could do something like that for a while. So
I feel like there might be another 6 months of like consolidation trying to make, figure out, because there is showing some weakness here. It's been lasting for almost a year. So that's getting me a little bit, wanting to stay away from the semiconductor area, even though I think AMD is probably bottom, but the semis are. Yeah. What do you think about NVIDIA? I want to go to that one too. Now that you're talking about semis, just
yeah, we can take a look at NVIDIA. Whoops, that's Bitcoin. NVDA.
You don't have it, do ya? There you go. You only care about coin. Yeah.
Yeah. I do like coin, even though I made a bearish post. It was April Fool's, guys. Come on now. All right, so we'll go to the Ichimoku. We'll go put on the SMAs here, and essentially, it's stuck inside the cloud, and this is not what I really wanted to see for NVIDIA, right? I wanted to see it stay on top of the cloud and try to break this resistance above, but for the past month, it's just been getting rejected by that 50-week, by the conversion line, by the green level of my GAN here, which has been the best indicator of them all as a bullish trend or not, right? Every time it's above, it has a chance. Every time it's below, it's a little bit risque. So I think what I'm looking at is if it keeps getting trapped inside the cloud here, then I think it's probably going to go lower, right? It might go higher and get rejected up here again, but then it's probably going to flirt with the bottom of the cloud again and that 100 pretty soon. And then it's going to make up a decision. And that decision could be back down to the 1.618, simply for the fact it's never been back tested, right? It's never touched it one time. So that 71, and looks really, really enticing to be back tested at some point in the future. So if we even go to the monthly chart here as well, that 50-month moving average is not even at that 71, right? So it's probably going to just spend a lot of time in this area until it's really ready to go down there. So I think it's looking more and more likely that the temporary top is in for NVIDIA, in my opinion, the 152. It does not want to go above that. And I think it's just going to spend a lot of time in this zone until it's like 1 month or 1 quarter or whatever. It's probably going to just get closer to the cloud, maybe sometime in 2026. And then it'll be the bottom in that zone. That's what I think.
You said risque. I think there's a little bit of difference between that and risky, but well, I mean, risque can be risky too. It depends on what what kind of behavior you want to, but
yeah, it's risque and risky. How about that?
I mean, I like the fact that you like stirring your drink when you're talking about it.
I'm actually drinking it.
It has the market, but not bad. Anyway,
But I honestly can see this happening for NVIDIA, to be honest, like doing something like this, like for a long time, and then maybe just collapse one time.
Yeah.
Right. I can see that. So I can see it easily going back to 120, but the next time it gets to 120, I'll probably just get rid of 100% of my NVIDIA at that point.
Which is going to be like a weird thing, right? Because you're talking about NVIDIA being so heavily weighted in the market and it's showing weakness. Like, what is that going to happen to like the Qs and SPY and all that, you know?
Well, I think the Qs are probably the weakest out of all of them, really, and the SMH, to be honest.
Yeah. And I wonder whether or not there's another stock that could potentially pump it up. But yeah, if you want to flip over to me, I just want to show the Bollinger Band for NVIDIA too. You know, we've been trying to track this thing for a very long time now. The whole idea is that you have about 2 previous cycles that are very, very similar to compare to. Usually during like the big bull phase, you have the Bollinger Band expansion on the monthly. If I look at in log scale, and you see that here, you see that here, you see that here. You know, and whenever that trend starts to get a bit tired, you see like months and months just kind of going sideways, Bollinger Band contraction, Bollinger Band contraction. You know, here you have a Bollinger Band contraction here. The initial thesis was, you know, we've been going sideways over here for quite some time. Could have been this area over here where it has another leg up to use just like liquidity before the big giant drop, like here where you have another leg up for another like 12 months or something like that, and then have a big giant rug pull. But right now it just seems like it's just been really burning out. You know, like initially it was like, okay, it's going up, it might have another leg up, you know, but it's just never really end up doing that. It just end up kind of just getting closer to the 20-month moving average. That's not really entirely what you want to see, because the 20-month moving average is also not like very positive sloping anymore. It's getting a little bit flatter and flatter. It's getting a little bit tired, you know, and it could potentially still serve as support, but you can see how it kind of slides for it over here, kind of how it slides over here, whenever it's starting to kind of become flat here a little bit, right? Whenever Bollinger Band starting to kind of contract here a little bit more here. And that's when you have a little bit more of a vulnerability for a trend change from bullish to bearish. I mean, granted, if it does turn bearish, generally NVIDIA doesn't stay bearish for that long. You know, it might have like a whole year downtrend. Here is only really like about 3 months, and it just kind of goes sideways for about half a year, and then it's just end up resuming a bull market here. So who knows? Maybe we might end up even finding support here at the 20-month moving average, kind of like it did over here before. Another big move up. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, right? We're not here to talk about, you know, fundamentals. All I know is right now, Wales probably wanted to distribute after NVIDIA went up like 10x, like actually 11. No, actually it went up like 13x or something like that, you know. And I think they just want to distribute, no matter how bullish the fundamentals might look. There might end up being distribution here, might end up having some rotation to go to another stock, which might also belong to the Qs, by the way, you know. But I just wondering whether or not money's just kind of rotating out from NVIDIA now. It certainly looks like that's the case. If that's the case, then I think a lot of retailer actually end up buying NVIDIA right now. So I'm not sure whether or not that's going to be, you know, the best return. Even if it ends up holding this area, it might still end up showing some relative weakness compared to other things, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So any thoughts on that, or no?
Yeah, like when I just talked to some friends, like anecdotally speaking, like they're like, oh, I need to just buy NVIDIA. That's safer than everything else. I'm like, oh, well, have I got a news story for you now?
Like, are you like,
yeah,
go ahead.
No, I don't see it as the safest play right now, to be honest. It's one of those charts that rejected support and it flipped it to resistance. So I cannot be excited about that until it breaks again.
Yeah, I mean, like if you just compare it to the other Magnificent Seven, you can do a spread. You know, this is what I've shown on X, NVIDIA over Tesla on the weekly. It broke down underneath the Ichimoku here, you know, the ratio. So if this is high, that means NVIDIA outperforms Tesla. If this is low, that means Tesla is outperforming NVIDIA, right? And Tesla's really been outperforming NVIDIA since June 2024, which is kind of hard for some people to kind of wrap their head around because Tesla is such a risky stock, you know. And this spread broke down the Ichimoku, had a bearish cross on a weekly, and then it's just back tested Ichimoku, and now it's kind of getting rejected here. It looks kind of weak, actually, you know. It's still holding the 20-week, yeah, but you know, it's just it's finding some support here. So I think NVIDIA is probably going to be okay in the short term. But overall, the whole NVIDIA over Tesla chart has just been forming lower highs and lower low. It's just get rejected in the cloud. It's just showing a lot of weakness, you know.
And it's the bearish back test right now too.
Yeah, bearish back test. You're holding the conversion here on the weekly, but you know how like weekly conversion is kind of like a little bit of flimsy support sometimes. So who knows, right? So if you look at that, or even comparison to like other stocks like Meta looks like it's outperforming NVIDIA. Is a very, very similar look, right? If you do like Microsoft, they've been about the same. You know, it looks a little bit rolling over here too. You know, like NVIDIA has been outperforming Microsoft here for so long, and now it's just kind of looking at it as rolling over as backtest in cloud. So I'm just not sure whether or not NVIDIA is going to be like the best, the best thing, even against Amazon. It looks like it's showing some relative weakness. It's breaking into the cloud. It's trying to break back off the cloud. It's having a hard time doing it. So there's a potential where it might not be where money should be going into, no matter how good the fundamental is, just because whales are distributing, because they've been making so many profits and they just want to kind of rotate out of it a little bit. You know, let's see another chart here. You know, I know people don't really like Cathie Woods that much, but it's the same thing. If you do NVIDIA over ARK Fund, you can see it's doing the same thing. It was outperforming ARK Fund very, very significantly for years, and next thing you know, you're getting into the cloud here. Now it's getting kind of stuck in the cloud here, maybe showing some relative weakness, overall forming lower highs and lower lows. So I don't know. It just seems like that might not be where the money should go to. But anyway, back to you, Matt. Feel free to take over and talk about Tesla or something else.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick question. So do you think the top is in for NVIDIA at one?
Do I think the top is in for NVIDIA at the 150s? I have a hard time.
Yeah.
I have a hard time saying yes or no. It is breaking down underneath the Tenkan conversion line here on the monthly, and the last two cycles it doesn't really do that until the bearishness starts to kick in, right? So I'm looking at this, I'm like, if I am bullish on the overall market and bearish on NVIDIA, what does that mean? You know, and I'm actually still pretty bullish on like the smaller cap things, because just you see like a lot of even ARK Fund, it still looks pretty good. So I don't know whether or not this is one of those drag out sideways, like, you know, over here back in August 2020 to like April 2021, NVIDIA did nothing, right? And that's when like IWM had really just like shot up like crazy, right? So I wonder whether or not this is like a slower burn version of that, where instead of going sideways for 8 months, we go sideways for even longer, while money rotates into like caps and other things. And then you might end up having another pump like up when you get closer to the cloud, which is insane to think about. We might just end up dragging this here a lot longer and just rotate to other things, because I still think that I have a hard time imagining that the whales have accumulated IWM over here for like 2 years, and for it to just make it to like not even really truly break above the previous all-time high. I still think that either price still has another leg up, but I still think that the size is slower and it's burning everybody out. So that's what I think, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's anybody's guess, but I think the least amount of momentum, I think, right now is kind of NVIDIA. That's what I see. It's just mind-boggling right now. It is
confusing everybody, and you know, like you saw Tesla go up like a few percent today. You know, showing some relative strength despite the market not really doing too much. You know, I mean, it makes sense because you have such a big move downwards, and you have, you know, you've found a very, very important zone down here, and it makes sense to at least have some retracement back to the mean, and then it's like all the way up here in like the 350s right now. So I mean, it just makes sense for it to show some relative strength, you know, and if it ends up making up there, and this is Tesla, you can do whatever the heck it wants to do. If you have some volume coming in, it can do some really crazy things, you know. And right now, it just looks like this is like massive capitulation here. Huge demand zone over here with these bottom trees are bottom here, right into the low Bollinger Band. and it looks like it wants to go up, but there's some supply zone over here with like another kind of like hammer top kind of thing. So I think we're probably just like stuck in range here for a little while. But I do think that the short-term trend is probably going to be up. I don't think it's going to be like a V-shaped recovery. I think it's probably going to be up here, maybe like messing with some stuff over here, because it's going to take time to kind of break above these negative sloping moving averages. It's going to take time to do all that, right? Like the negative sloping conversion and the Kijun, it's going to take time to kind of break through all that, maybe using the cloud as support to kind of push it up higher. But I don't think it's going to be like a V shape, probably going to be a little bit slower than most people would like. And then people forget about Tesla and then, chase some other shiny things, and then Tesla might just, end up reversing the trend. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but I don't know. What do you think?
With Tesla, yeah. Let me go to that chart real quick. I did have other stuff I wanted to show on the QQQ as well, but I'll get to that after this. Let me switch over. So yeah, here's my Tesla, and this is the monthly chart, and this is the log scale fibs right here, but I'll just take that off just so we can see the market symmetry of it all. And it's been perfectly holding this angle for a long time, and it's also been basically above this arc for a perfect backtest. Even last month closed above it, so we can see previous resistance, previous resistance, previous resistance, all of 2024 and 2023, and even 2022. It was all resistance right here, and now it's looking like it wants to be support. So I think it's really time for Tesla to start going higher, right? We'll find out this week if it actually wants to close back above this 50-week moving average or not. It's been getting rejected for the past 2 weeks now. So that's kind of the barrier I'm really watching, the 273.10. Once it gets back above that, then I think it'll be time to climb out of there. And when I put on the Ichimoku as well with Tesla, I can see that up here where the arc is and the top of the cloud, maybe it just wants to do a slower climb out of here or something like that. And then maybe by June of 2025, it'll be back at 350 or so, and then maybe try to just go from there. That's what I kind of can see, just some timing of it all. But it's going to probably get stuck under this 273 and this downward sloping conversion down at like 305 for some time perhaps. And I think we have some time to kill until it really wants to touch the cloud and go higher.
Yeah, I'm actually, and I want to say this is not for like people to want to get into like short-term call options or whatever. I'm actually extremely bullish on Tesla longer term. Like I'm talking about like 12 months. It's the setup is just absolutely incredible. I don't know. But I'm not talking about like the next 4 to 6 months, because who knows, but I'm talking about like 12 months. The setup is just actually looks really, really good. So
yeah, I think this chart really demonstrates that completely, how the setup is very, very bullish. Things that were previous resistance are now support, and it went perfectly to that GAN level, which kind of marked the temporary top, so now it's just time to buy some time and get its way out of there. So is it really going to blast off into the 3,000s, 4,000s? Maybe in years to come, but it's got to flip that to a support first, the 470s, before that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, just at least based on the chart, I think it's a lot less risky to get into Tesla compared to NVIDIA. Actually, the fundamental arguments won't support that, but but that's what I see on the charts. So.
But I did want to show some comparison of the QQQ with the other indices, if you guys want to see it.
Nah, no, I'm just kidding.
Next,
have another drink. No, we're good. No, I'm just kidding.
What did you say?
What are you drinking, man?
It's one of those things.
Those things. What?
Those cut water drinks, like a tequila Palamo or something.
Yeah, I thought it was like some secret sauce that, like you lost a bet in your drink. Anyway, yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's ice cubes mixed with Tabasco sauce. So good. All right. So I want to just show how, in my opinion, how weak the QQQ is compared to the SPY and the IWM. So first, let's check out the QQQ on the weekly chart. It broke levels. It not only broke the 45, but it broke the blue level. And I want to go to the monthly chart so we can get a better view of this. And this 45-degree angle has basically been the lifeline of the QQQ ever since the beginning of time. Really, right? It acted as a major resistance for decades, right? For over a decade. And then it flipped temporary to a support, but it's been a resistance the majority of the time. So that trend is not really changing. So it did try to get on top of it for a little bit, but I think it just ran out of steam and now it's even below the blue level. And we can see how accurate this is because look at the orange level. It even back tested it 2015, 2016, and then it went higher, right? And then it even went right up to the blue level, was resistance for a while, and now it's actually looking like it is flipping back to resistance. So this is weak. Does that mean it's going to go down to the 368 down here, the 1.618? I think it could be a possibility to backtest that for a first time, but it's not going to happen like tomorrow or next month or whatever. It'll probably still try to fool people and go back above this blue level for some time, kind of like what NVIDIA did for some time, and then just stall out there and then eventually go lower. But in comparison to the others, I want to just show you what IWM looks like in comparison. So IWM, sure, it's below the blue level, but it hasn't really broken above it that much. And this 45-degree angle should catch it on the way down because that has been the trend the whole time. This is basically the exact opposite of the QQQ, where it spent the majority of its life on top of the 45 instead of underneath it. So that trend, it looks like it still can continue, which really means to me that this has the potential to actually continue higher, even if it does want to go a little bit lower first into the lower 190s, right? Still has an opportunity to catch it there before going higher. So this is really a different story compared to the QQQ, which makes me think the QQQ is actually more worrisome right now. And then on the SPY, I just wanted to show a channel for the SPY. And this channel, this is a fib channel, by the way. It's not just a random channel. And this was the top back in 2000. This was the top in 2021. And then it flipped it to a support here, and it actually still is a support. So SPY, based off of this chart alone, looks like it has potential to stabilize in this zone and go higher. So out of the three that I just looked at, the QQQ looks the most precarious to me. So that kind of lines up with what NVIDIA is doing as well. So I think I'm going to be cautious with like a lot of mega cap stuff, right? A lot of even like maybe Google or Microsoft, maybe even Meta, maybe even Amazon. Be a little bit cautious with that stuff because they had a multi-year run, but everything else did not.
Yeah, I mean, they might also just correct sideways too, and you know, other things might end up running. Who knows how they want to play this cycle? But certainly seems like there's some relative weakness there, doesn't it? Did you mute yourself?
Oh yeah, I did. Whoopsie. No, like it's doing exactly what NVIDIA did. It's breaking back below a blue level, and it looks like it could flip it to resistance. Like when you go back to NVIDIA chart here, the exact same thing, right? It's back below the green level, and it's flipping it to resistance. So it's kind of mimicking that, which makes me feel more cautious about what's really going on in the markets.
Yeah. Do you want any other stocks you want to talk about before we go more crypto related kind of stuff? Which
let's see. Let's go check out the list. Yeah. So people are worried about Palantir now too, right?
Understandably worried because it's done nothing for quite some time, which is worrisome. Not really, but.
So there's a couple of layers of support here for Palantir. And the first layer is this 1.272, 78.13. Then you got the blue level of the GAN around 77. And then you have the Ichimoku conversion line or baseline. It's getting broken or it did get broken earlier, but it saved itself and it actually went higher, right? So it did go down below, wick below it, or it actually opened below it, right? And then it came up towards the blue arc again. So it's really stuck in a tight range, trying to figure out where it wants to go. But I think we have to understand as well that when you go to the monthly chart for Palantir, that the conversion line does still sit in the 73s down here. So it does have potential to go down there and touch it. So there could be some more weakness for Palantir. I'm not convinced it's ready to break out yet. It had a massive move. So in my opinion, I think it's just buying time to get closer to the weekly Ichimoku cloud. So I think it could do something like this, right? Just stay in this zone for a while until it wants to break out. And this zone could be a little bit deeper than expected too. We could see something like that or a little bit higher, but we'll see. We'll see if it wants to go back down to the 77, 76. But if it does break that $77 zone, I can see it going back to the linear scale fib down here, which is at 69.15 right down here. So I could see something like that. But I'm not super crazy bullish on it right now, even though I'm very bullish on the long term. Just the short term, I'm like, it'll probably do nothing, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, if you want to flip it to me, I can show a very similar thing here too. Got a comparison chart here between Palantir here on the left and MicroStrategy here on the right. These are locked monthly chart with the Ichimoku cloud. I think we're probably at a part where it probably would end up consolidating here for a little bit longer than most people would like, and boring people. It's just, as long as we're able to hold the conversion in the base, then I think further bullish continuation is possible, because that's kind of what happened here with MicroStrategy during this big giant consolidation zone over here from March to September 2024, where the price basically did nothing. It was stuck in a rectangle here for like 6-7 months. Everybody just get all chopped up, and then next thing you know, make another high because we're able to backtest and hold the conversion baseline here just fine. What happened with the last cycle, with the cycle top? Well, we were underneath of that, right? We broke down underneath the conversion base. We spent like a whole year trying to break above, hit a bearish cross, was able to kind of get 1 month above it after a bearish cross, but it was a little bit of false breakout and just had to plummet down, right? We're not really having that kind of market structure. We're still above the Tenkan and Kishin or conversion base. So I still think that there's a lot more similarities for what Palantir is right now around the 80s to 70s compared to when MicroStrategy was around like the 100 to 170, 180 zone. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And because of that, I'm not really that worried about this. So we'll see. I think if you are also looking at the monthly Bollinger Band, it did end up losing some momentum here so far. Now, granted, the month only has one trading day so far, right? We are back inside the Bollinger Band here on the monthly, and the monthly low Bollinger Band here is starting to kind of curl up a little bit here, right? Because we've consolidated here for quite some time, but you have to consider that the Bollinger Band is still all the way extended to the upside and downside. There's going to be a lot more room to kind of go up. You need some time to cool off that big giant wick above. You just need some time to cool off that big giant wick above. It went way too far, way too fast. If it goes consolidate for another few months, it's not the end of the world, right? There's still a good chance for further bullish continuation, as long as you can hold a conversion base, which currently is holding right now. So kind of what I'm seeing is the same thing that I'm seeing with you, really. But I don't like, this doesn't look like a structure where the bull market's over yet.
Well, go back to the MicroStrategy comparison too. MicroStrategy spent like 6 or more months at that zone, so we could probably see 6 months of nothingness for
with the exception that, arguably speaking, you already spent like 4 months doing nothing, right? So I guess arguably speaking, but maybe another like couple more for bullish continuation. We'll see. I just can't, like, all this is like big volume on the way up, and I think we end up just going a little bit way too far, way too fast. But I don't think that this is necessarily distribution yet, knock on wood. I'm just not seeing that, kind of morphology here yet. We need to see how it develops over time. If it's got a bunch of wicks above like NVIDIA, then maybe we need to be a little bit more worried. But usually with distribution, it takes time, right? Like you're not going to just end up like this, like blow off top and then like plummet, V-shape plummet down. Those things generally actually happen. They're actually relatively rare. Even MicroStrategy with the last cycle, we spent a whole year distributing, right? So usually able to see some kind of sign. It ends up breaking underneath the conversion base, and yeah, maybe a little bit more worrisome here. But as you can see with MicroStrategy, you can keep going consolidation and make another leg up, and consolidate and potentially make another leg up too, right? So I'm not really that concerned about it right now, but I think it's good to watch it and see, because even look at the fib levels, it on the log fib here, it got rejected at 1.414, which is not surprising, and still holding support 1.272, just stuck in a range. You can end up stuck in a range here for quite some time. So I think it's probably just watch it. And this is one of those stock that like if I want to add, I'm probably not going to add anymore because it just ran up so much. I'm just going to let it be. And I'm going to look for other things to add, which is going to be like Tesla and even Coinbase. May I speak out loud about that? But I just don't really.
but Coinbase closed the month below the 20-month moving average cap.
I mean, I'm a
do
fool.
How can
You
you
already
say
mentioned
that?
I'm a fool. So, but regardless, I think that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. It might end up just consolidating sideways over here. Now that we talk about MicroStrategy comparison, we can also just kind of dive into a little bit here. I have a can here, I think, on the weekly 720 and 1. It's been following symmetry pretty well. You have like this 3 nice, beautiful wicks right into that Gann arc right there. After it got rejected at 1.618 lock fit, which I'm not going to show. Stabby trident, trying to break back above the horizontal Gann level over there. It looks like we're bottoming. It looks like it wants to kind of really go up here. And with Bitcoin also showing a little bit of strength on the lower time frame, a little bit of strength on the lower time frame. We're not out of woods yet, but by any means. But it looks like the downtrend has decelerated. It looks like we found some pretty decent bottom over here, and we just simply maybe even if we don't make a higher high here, as long as we make a higher low, then I think we're okay. But it's this whole process here may take time, kind of like how over here has taken time. This over here is sideways consolidation. This over here is like downwards, right? So this might take a little bit more time because V-shaped recovery doesn't always happen. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's one of these moves up here, but I just don't really set quite just yet. And as long as the monthly is able to hold the baseline, I don't care. It looks like we did break down underneath of that 2 months ago, but I think we reclaimed it, and so far we just stuck in a range. That's kind of what my thinking is MicroStrategy. I think there's still more room for MicroStrategy to go up. I think this is still a bull flag, and it just needs to do what it needs to do after digesting all these moves up here. Now, with that said, do I think that MicroStrategy is going to keep going up to the moon? Well, I don't know, because I'm starting to see that the trend's starting to get a little bit exhausted here. With RSI making kind of like a little bit of equal high over here, even the price going up. So there's a little bit of relative bearish divergence, a little bit tired, but that's the reason why you have to have these cool down moves. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get a blow off top, maybe not. Maybe it's just going to be like slow burn up all the way up on bearish divergence, which happened with NVIDIA during all its bull cycle. It just keeps on going up here on like bearish divergence. Maybe it just keeps on doing that, but maybe it won't give you that, to really try to like push up like a big giant move like it had before. I think MicroStrategy is probably going to do just fine, but I think the trend maybe is starting to be a little bit tired, and this tiredness can happen for like a year or two, and it can still end up going a lot higher. But I'm just like, saying, yeah, maybe your thing we're maybe like at least mid-cycle, if not, but anyway, that's what I think about MicroStrategy.
Yeah. Let me show my chart here. I have a new GAN that I wanted to show basically from the very bottom of 2002, and just each level kind of was respected a lot, and now it's maintaining this green level, right? And to maximize the full square here, the top of that square would be 1400. So I mean, can't really rule it out, since it did kind of stop at every level on the way up, except for the orange level where it just did a super V bottom out of there. right? So let's see if it gets to the ARCs, maybe 700s, maybe even the 1400s up there. But I know it was a different company back during the .com bubble, but the fibs still make sense, right? If you did do the fibs from the top to the bottom here, it's 330, right? 333 is that previous all-time high level. So it is getting rejected there. Just off of these monthly candles, you can see like basically 4 months in a row, it just got rejected off of that level after it broke out. So there is some math behind that all-time high during the .com bust, right? And it can't break above it right now. So everybody should be watching 333 and also that 340 level as well. And if it can break above that zone, then I think, yeah, it's good to go. Right? I really think 333, 340, that zone, good to go. And I think that 340 is the fib extension here. Yeah, from this high to that low, there's the 340. So there we are. But it looks like since that green Gann level is holding perfectly for MicroStrategy, I think it's just a matter of time before it breaks that 340 zone. But this chart does look very healthy still. It did a perfect consolidation of that level, and you can see it did it before, right? And it got rejected right where it should before too, with these arcs right here as well, right before breaking out. So previous resistance flipping to support, and it looks like it has room to maybe even go to the 700s above. So I see good things for MicroStrategy and maybe a blow off top to 1400.
Okay, but I guess patience may be still be required because of that crazy move that we had all the way up just a few months ago.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, for it to break out, I think Bitcoin will have to follow suit. So we can show Bitcoin next if you're ready, Kat.
Ready
or did you want to talk about?
Go for it.
Or if you want to talk about Coinbase first, I know where the Coinbase bro is.
Well, I don't have much to talk about. Coinbase is still on the log scale, still stuck within the golden pocket between 0.618 and 0.786. You know, I mean, it's trying to break about the 0.86, just wasn't able to, and it's coming back down, grab liquidity. Yeah, you want to go ahead and draw like the log flips so people know what the heck I'm talking about. Yeah, like it tried to break about the 0.86, but it just simply didn't have enough energy. So short term, they end up distributing and they end up, having to go back down to close to 0.618 now to grab liquidity down below before it goes up. But it's still higher highs and higher lows, right?
And it's a giant cup and handle, really.
It's a giant cup and handle, and things usually you're gonna have a hard time breaking out of the golden pocket, which is going to be between the 0.618 and 0.786. If you break about that, then you're talking about like some all-time high crap. Like it's like things just go parabolic up like crazy.
800.
So I guess it's not ready to do that quite just yet, and the market maker is like, wait, nope, and I guess they're just not ready yet. And the same thing's happening with like all the miners and whatnot. They're just looking, they're like, nah, we're not ready to go up yet, and it's gonna plummet you down here.
And to put it into perspective too, Palantir got to the 1.414. That's 1,200 for Coinbase, and MSTR got to the 1.618, which would be 2156 for Coinbase. So you can't count those numbers out, which would be monstrous for Conel as well.
Yeah, I think if they end up if Coinbase end up making those moves, and I don't, there's a reason why I'm down on Coinel. I keep averaging down. I'm continuing to be like 40%, negative unrealized loss, but I keep averaging it down because I still find it to be an opportunity. Is there decay? Yeah, of course there is, but I've gone through like these double average stuff, and and honestly, if it makes the move that I think it's going to move, it doesn't really matter. Like it'll be right back break even in no time. But I mean, I'm not going to say that because it's terrible. Double leverage ETFs are risky. You're not supposed to get into that unless if you can handle these kind of volatility, and which is also why I also own Coinbase, the stock, and I currently have about 3-to-1 like Coinbase and Coinel double leverage. I don't just degen into Coinel. I also like to hold the non-leverage, but I just want to be exposed to a little bit of leverage. So
I wanted to show this linear scale GAN actually for Coinbase, just so people can see something where it's at. Right, it went kind of back to the 45 here, and the previous orange level was a resistance, flipped to support. Then the blue level was basically a support and a resistance zone. Then this green level, and then the arcs up here it stopped out at. So it's been pretty symmetrical here on linear scale. Even it was a resistance right here in March of 2024. So we're just right back down to where all this activity on this angle was before, right? All of this way back in 2023. So that's where we are before. So I think linear scale kind of is telling a story that it found some support below. Could it go a little bit lower down to the 150s, maybe retest the arc? I mean, maybe, yeah. There, it still would be a higher low from back in 2024. So it could go into the 150s, right? I'm not saying it can't, but I think we're at a point where the lower it actually goes, then finally the risk reward is really, really in your favor. Like I didn't really think it's going to go this low at all. I thought it would stop way even in the closer to the 300s, right? Because it kind of made sense to stop up there, but it just didn't. So it just decided to go way back down, and that's Coinbase for you. It's kind of like a Tesla sometimes, where it doesn't care about fibs or anything like that. It just keeps on cutting through levels to the downside, to the upside, to the whatever side, until it just figures out that everybody hates it, and then it'll go up.
Yeah, and I think people were too. Somebody mentioned about like miners too. I think people, including myself, were too bullish on Bitcoin, thinking the miners going to end up just pushing up a lot higher. But I guess that's when the market makers are like, oh, Cantonese Cat is posting all these posts on their Stock Trader Pro, whatever, I don't remember this guy name anymore. Yeah, and like, oh yeah, they're too bullish on this. So why don't we just mess with them and try to accumulate more, which is exactly kind of what's happening behind the scene. But yeah, I mean, I honestly, if you I like Coinbase too. I guess one more thing, and I can talk about miners for a couple of minutes. Chart by itself back into the log scale. I don't think I have that. Hang on just a second.
I'm gonna flip to you.
Yeah, I don't have it ready, but you can flip it. Yeah, just flip it. It's fine. Yeah, I mean, this is a Coinbase chart here, and I can do a comparison here on the side. And with this one, I can look at others, which is the cryptocurrency market cap excluding the top 10 crypto, so the stable coin, all that stuff. XRP won't get counted, but I mean, basically it's just almost like a play on the altcoins, right? You can talk about like the management, how Coinbase sucks, all that, but honestly, it's just a play of altcoins, and altcoins still looks like it's got a same market structure basically. And I actually think Coinbase is holding pretty decent compared to altcoins overall. So I think, like, to me, I think Coinbase is a play on the others chart on altcoins. If you're bullish on altcoins, you think that it's still got a good chance to pump up, then I think that Coinbase could be a play for you. If you actually think that altcoins are like they've just been severely underperforming, they're just going to keep sucking moving forward, and this cycle is over. It's not going to be another altcoin season ever. Then like why buy Coinbase, right? That wouldn't make any sense at all. But also to say too, like the others chart, you have this big giant green candle over here back in November. And how many candles has it been, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of these are inside candles to this big giant November candle, right? So it's consolidating 5 inside candles over here, favors further bullish continuation. Higher highs and higher lows, if you count these wicks, it's a bullish structure. It couldn't break back down inside the golden pocket here. It did end up exaggerating to the upside here above the 0.86, turned out to be a big giant wick, and it came back down, and now it's kind of overshot below the 0.618. I mean, this is crypto for you. It likes to overshoot things, but overall, still a bullish market structure. I think Coinbase is just a play for the altcoin market. Whereas I think Bitcoin miners actually is something a little bit different. I actually think Bitcoin miners is a leverage play for IWM. That's what I think, right? Because if you look at the chart here, it seems to follow the IWM chart relatively similarly, with the exception that Bitcoin miners actually outperform IWM for like an entire year. And because of that, I think it was kind of also underperforming IWM for the year after that. You can see how when IWM is kind of like chops through over here from like throughout 2023, it did nothing, right, for 2023. But the miners actually did really well for 2023, which is what get a lot of people really excited about miners, right? And then as soon as people get excited about miners, they did nothing for a whole year. And then and next thing you know, IWM is like, oh well, we're gonna break out, we're gonna make all this like higher highs and higher lows, and then we're gonna rug pull everything together. That's kind of basically what's happened right now. But if you're bullish on this potential cup and handle structure, I think you should also be bullish on this potential cup and handle structure here as well. I'm not even gonna show any like other indicators or anything. I just think that miners, unlike popular belief that it's a play on Bitcoin, I think it's actually a play for the liquidity pool that's probably going into like smaller cap stocks, which IWM is basically the index for. And it's been kind of following very similar trajectories. So if IWM suffers, miners going to suffer. That's been my thesis for like I think I made a video like 10 months ago talking about this. I just didn't think that IWM is going to do this, and next thing you know, we all suffer, right? And I was wrong about this, but I still think that it's still a leverage play. So if you're bullish on IWM and the smaller cap stuff, you think things are going to rotate into that. I think miners might still be a pretty decent play moving forward, but I'm not like advocating like buying, but I'm just basically like nibbling at. I already have my positions being built. Some of them like break even, some of them are down like like 30% or something like that. But I'm just gonna keep on keeping on and let them do their thing because I just think that outperform IWM and then underperform IWM, and right now they're basically having a great reset over here, which if you look at this is actually relatively bullish because this is a very, very huge impulse up, and this is like the correct wave 2, if you will, if you're into a whole alien wave thing, which means that this move is probably necessary before further move up. But I could be wrong. It could just end up making a lower high and then just end up plummeting down. Like nothing's ever really like 100% when it comes to investment and trading, but I just don't see liquidity cycle being over quite just yet because like a lot of these things, even like all of these things just haven't really, they didn't span like a year and a half, 2 years accumulating just for it to go to like, previous all-time high here. I have a hard time seeing that. I think the cycle might just possibly longer, but I don't want to speak in absolute terms. I'm just, telling you what I'm thinking based on what I'm seeing. That's all. So yeah,
that's a good analysis.
Yeah, that's all I got about these guys. I mean, like I can talk about individual miners, but I think it's kind of a moot point. Like it's following the liquidity where it needs to go. So, you want to talk about Bitcoin in general now that we beat around the bush, literally?
Let's do the Bitcoin
do
thing. All right, I have my chart pulled up here. So Bitcoin, it is really stuck. And the things I'm watching the most are this 1.272, and that's 83,558, and also my 45-degree angle. So that is, let me just pull that up. Right, we can just see the symmetry of it all. See that 45 was a huge resistance in 2021, right? And then basically it was a big breakout of it. Tried to hold it as support. I thought it was going to hold as support, but nope, they had different plans. And now it's just trying to spend time here. And everybody is pointing out like this zone down here, the 72 to the 69,000 zone. Does that really need to be back tested? And I think my answer is I don't think it does need to. I think what we can see is just more consolidation in this zone until it's really ready to break above this 45-degree angle, which is currently around like 87.9, right? Last week it was around 87.6. So I think once it gets back above that, once it gets back above the 1.414, then I think it might be ready to go higher. But until then, we're not going to see explosiveness until that is broken. We're just going to see range bound, and people are going to get excited up here again when it's back at like 88,000, and they're going to get depressed when it's back down in the low 80s, right? That's just going to be what it is, when in actuality, nothing really is happening. But I lean more in favor to the bull side for this channel chart alone. I've been showing this for the past few cat in the mat shows, how this channel is holding, right? This bottom channel for the past month, it has been holding right here. And I mentioned on previous shows how the previous cycle top was this channel right here, right? Back in 2017, it was that top. It was the top here in 2021. And basically, the top of this channel now is in the 200s, right? So if the cycle top is going to be this channel again, then it's going to at least 200,000. Depending on time, it could even go to like, I don't know, 300s. And if it really was a blow up top, then maybe the blue channel up here, which is in the 300s or 400s, right? So we don't really know yet how high it's going to go. But if history is any guide, then perhaps it's going to get to that channel again. So I did mention this before in other episodes, but I wanted to point out the fact that regardless of the fear out there, this channel is holding. I can zoom in for you guys. You can see it is closing almost every single time above it. Even when it doesn't close above it, it just quickly goes back on top of it and reclaims it. So it's showing a strong support here for that fib channel. And I think it really has a chance. I think it has a chance to break resistance, which means I'm not too worried about going back down to the 72,000, 69,000 zone just yet, because lots of support is trying to hold that channel, this 83.5, and so on. So it's just stuck in a range, and that's what it's going to be until something breaks, either to the upside or the downside.
Excellent. I mean, I think you see the same thing too if you don't look at just the fib and gap. You look at the monthly Ichimoku. You know what I'm talking about. With the
Well, I'll switch to you, and you can show them what you're talking
but
about.
you know
Huh?
what I'm talking about, though.
Well, no, you got to show them what you're
Fine,
talking
I'll
about.
show them what I'm talking about.
And no, I'm not the charting guy. I'm the great Matsby. Matt.
Yeah, they're definitely two separate people. They each have their weakness for cats, and and I love them both.
Yes, my knees get weak. Yes,
because it's the cat's knees. Anyway, well, you know how the whole thing about when you're talking about the current range, and you're showing a really beautiful again, you're showing the channel, you're showing the fit levels, and also on top of that, like right now, I just have a hard time seeing it being too bearish if it's still on top of the conversion on the monthly, right? Because on a bull market, you can see how slow this bull market has been. It's been riding the conversion up the entire time. It's still very much of a decent bull market that's still going on, right? Last time when it was kind of having this kind of behavior, just kind of ride stepwise up, was in 2015, 2017. It was doing that in a very, very gentle manner right now. But back then it was a lot more violent. I guess it might have been because the liquidity was just a lot easier to go in and out. It was just a lot like quick, like just shot all the way up, right? Right now we're having a little bit more like a systematic push above, back test, push above, back test. This is what it kind of looks like right now. So, and I'm talking about higher time frame here because I like to create back holders by talking about monthly charts. Because people don't, I'm talking about some pretty high time frame here. But if this turns out to be a green candle, if April turns out to be a pretty decent month, which I guess is the verdict still out, right? Then this would be like a very much of a very decent, bullish formation. I think you call it like a morning star or whatever, and that would favor further bullish continuation. Right now, it's only been a day. It's got a little bit of a bullish engulfing candle here. It's a little bit too early to say. It can still be range bound, like what Matsby is saying. It could just range bound between high 80,000, low 80,000. The bottom, like right now, the conversion line up here is actually 79,200, right? Does it have to come back and back test that zone over there? Well, maybe, not necessarily. Here it kind of did that, but this is not like a typical behavior for Bitcoin unless the Bitcoin just completely changes behavior this cycle, which it might be. Like before, it never had to back test anything, maybe until the cycle was over and then you try to back test things. But right now, I think we're just this is like a very, very healthy bull trend. Like I've never seen Bitcoin be this healthy. It's like eating salad, taking antioxidants, and making sure it's got enough vitamin E. It's just kind of pushing up and up and up. Like it's trying to form relationships with the conversion line. It's trying to get married to it. It's trying to form a symbiotic relationship with it. Here, it was just going like Wilt Chamberlain style. It was like, I need 200,000, right? That's exactly kind of what it did over here.
Here comes Wilt again. We should call his family and say we're talking about him all the time.
Like, Wilt Chamberlain, like it's just like it's like it wants to dunk all the way up here. It just went to 200,000 here in a very quick manner, very unsustainable manner. But here we're kind of like, hey, you want to go get some like, Vietnamese food, you want to go get some salad, you want to go to a salad bar, okay, yeah, we can go there. And like, everybody's just kind of looking at this couple and they're all getting pissed off. Like, I want to see Wilt Chamberlain, going for 200, like the 20,000, right? But here you got this like really sweet couple who's just kind of like, okay, I love you, and everybody's just getting all gross out and they're just not used to seeing that, right? But that's kind of what it's doing right now. I think it's just making a little bit of stepwise approach. They're doing these dates. They're talking about their family. They're talking about what if they can't. How many kids do you want? Things like nobody wants to hear that crap.
Yeah, just get down and dirty already. Come on.
and that's my speaking to it. The other thing I want to show too is I think that the cycle is just a lot slower, because if we look at just the moving average, you can see if I pull up the 20-week moving average, you can see that the 2015-2017 cycle, you're just on the 20, just riding boom, 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 going for 20,000, right? Wilt Chamberlain stop, right? And then the last cycle, it was like touch up, don't care, I don't want to touch a 20 again until like 6 months later. The next thing you know, like I'm completely exhausted, man, going down. Here it's just like 20. I want to get salad. Are you sure you want some salad, honey? No, maybe not. I want some, whatever. You get the idea. But instead of hugging the 20, it's hugging the 50. It's like it wants to take its time and build up some commitment for something that is like longer standing. Maybe they want to have kids. Maybe the kids want to go to MIT, right? Did you think about that here during the cycle? No, you didn't even touch the 50 here at all. And by the time when you touch the 50, you're just completely exhausted. So this is like the healthiest relationship I've ever seen, and everybody hates it. Like everybody hates it.
Yeah, people don't like healthy relationships. They like the damage, They like to be emotionally manipulated.
No, they want to see like the crap. Like everybody gets so excited about the bear market. Everybody gets so excited about the bull market. Nobody wants to see the stepwise up, like building you up into antioxidant crap. Like nobody wants to see that. That's exactly what's happening with Bitcoin. So
yeah, it's too healthy that it's not healthy. It's kind of like eating healthy for a whole month straight, and then you just get tired of it. It's like, this is so boring, and then you start to hate it. So then you just want to eat like McDonald's all the time. Yeah,
it's
just
just like that. And this is I keep showing this Ethereum chart here. I have nothing else new to add. I think that it's at the right like area of the cycle where I think this angry phase is happening. And this is my angry phase, by the way. I should probably draw some cat ears. But this cycle is just looking like it just looks a lot longer. It's a longer liquidity cycle maybe, and it decides to break down underneath this trend line here almost every single time and come back down and grab some liquidity. I think I actually drew this here on the weekly, which is why they're a little bit off. But yeah, like it's basically doing a very, very slow thing where it's just coming back down, grab liquidity. Can I guarantee you that this trend line is going to hold? No, I don't guarantee anything, But I just don't see any like unusual behavior still, even though it's been an extremely bad rug pull, even though I did not expect this move to have happened all the way from like 4,000 all the way back down to like 2,000. Like that was uncalled for, right? So
yeah, I didn't sign up for that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So was COVID. That was uncalled for, right? So was this, whatever the heck this is, like that was uncalled for, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that it won't reverse, because I still think that the cryptocurrency market is still, is still doing fine. I think Ethereum is still going to be a big part of it. So that's kind of how I look at it. I mean, I can do like all kinds of indicators, basically breaking like all different kinds of like indicator. It doesn't matter what you're looking at. Like Ichimoku is broken down underneath, 20-month moving average is broken down underneath. It doesn't matter what you're looking at anymore at this point. Even on the weekly here, look at Ichimoku is kind of broken down here. It doesn't really matter like kind of what you're looking at here, right? It's touching a low Bollinger Band here. But I think that this is the kind of like damage that it wants to do before it goes up higher. And it looks like that's just the behavior of Ethereum. Every single stock, every single asset has its own personality, and this is what I kind of see what Ethereum is trying to do. If anything, it's back testing this like zone over here. They decide to want to go back test the zone over here, which we didn't really technically do that with these wicks over here. Decide to come back and grab some liquidity zone background here. Is so far is holding, and then everybody's calling lower because we've just been going straight down here for so long. Yeah, everybody just kind of wants. Yeah, and that's not what you want to do to your masseuse. You know, like you just it's anyway.
Unless you're Wilt Chamberlain.
If you want to make the numbers count, yeah, but I don't know. I don't have much else to. These are just like thoughts, and I could be wrong. Ethereum can go down to 0, but I think Trump's also buying, so whatever.
Well, there's a lot of confluence of support in that zone. If you just look at the linear fibs right here, you can see that it's a 236. Yeah. So I think what we're seeing is actually the linear scale fibs are a perfect match of almost every level, right? On the way up, it was basically stopped at almost every level. On the way down, stop, up. Like it was a perfect map of the 786 right here. Just could not break above, so it came. And you know what? I can't break above, so I'm going to screw all you guys and just go back to the 236. But I think it's holding. So I think it really has potential to stabilize there. I know on X I post like maybe 1,600, maybe 1,300, right? But I honestly think that this 1821 can hold. I really think that this has a potential to stabilize there and then get back up. So it's not dead yet by any means. I think we're at just a previous very important zone all through 2022, 2023 here. And it's just finally back testing it like Kat was saying. It didn't do it back in 2024. So it decided to do it this year.
Yeah. And nobody wants to really talk about Ethereum anymore. They talk about Ethereum as like, oh, it's trash, and they're like all the Bitcoin maxis are like completely euphoric, but yeah, I mean, I hope both, it doesn't matter, but it's just I think it's still at the cycle where it's actually not that surprising based on where Bitcoin is now compared to what Ethereum is at right now. But
and people don't really realize that it did the same thing before. Like right here in 2021, it dropped 60%, basically from even the 886. Oops, wrong one. Even from the 886, it dropped below, right? And it just did the same exact thing from here down to the 236, right? So if you just look right here, it's basically from the 4,000 down to the 1,800, from the 4,000 down to the 1,800. And what happened directly after that? Launch mode, right? Launch mode. So don't count it out. We've seen this move before with Ethereum, and last time it happened very swiftly. This time it took a lot longer. So just wanted to point that out too.
Yeah, no, this cycles definitely feel a lot more brutal and slower compared to before. I don't know about you, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the patience for that. I need some quick gains. I need to do what you did today and sell everything for Pepe. That's what I gotta do.
I totally did that. Yeah, it's not April Fools. I totally did that. Yeah. No, I mean, I think we hit a lot of the highlights. I think somebody was asking about like GME. Do you have anything to add to that? Or
yeah, GME. I can pull up the chart here. So I got a couple of things for GME, and the first one is this log scale GAN, which kind of predicted all the tops, right? This green level happened every time, and actually, the last time it happened in May of 2024, I pointed it out too, and it started to hold this angle. And I don't know if you remember that, Kat.
Yeah, I remember.
We were talking about that. Yeah, and then it flipped this angle to resistance, and then it just went sideways. So. Does it need to come back down and retest this arc? And I don't really think it does at this point. I think this 24 down to $20 zone, I think it can really hold as a support. And let's just pull up a quick fib from the top here. And yeah, so we can see that it just got rejected massively at that 382, and you see that's a super important zone, and that's kind of why it just could not get above it. So doesn't need to go down to 1793. I mean, it's possible, but in the meantime, it is kind of holding that 100-week moving average as a support, and it is finally upward sloping, and it also has been a support since it did that massive move, right? It did a huge breakout, and it's been holding that 100-week as a support for a long time. So I think we'll just ride with the trend and be like, you know, if 2064 wants to hold, I think that could be a really good opportunity. And ultimately, what I think is in the future, this can be a lot more bullish, but it's got to break above that 200-week moving average first at 2679.
Woohoo! Yeah, I think it's just stuck in a range on low volume. I don't have much else to say unless there's some volume pump comes and actually does something. Then I, you know, then whatever. It's just going. It's just chopping, being in a range right now. So, but yeah, I do think that like the higher time frame structure looks more bullish. So
yeah, like your monthly Bollinger Band is really telling.
I think this is how a lot of bull markets for different stocks and crypto. You want to flip over to me? I can show it real quick. Yeah, this is. Let's go. Oh yeah, so not really anything spectacular, but this is basically the monthly chart here, and you can see with the monthly chart. And if you look at it in log, you know, like which is what I do. You can see that the cycle behavior, you know, with the 20-month moving average, if it's turning from like support here to resistance, that's when a bear market starts, you know, and it just keeps on serving as resistance until you break back above, back test it, and you can have a bull market, right? Here, and we have another bear market developed for about 3 years, and next thing you know, we had this big giant impulse back up here around May or June of last year. And then we reclaimed the 20-month moving average, and we've been just stuck in a range between the upper Bollinger Band and the flattened, slightly up-sloping 20-month moving average. Just been consolidating this big giant move up here. That's kind of what I'm seeing on like no volume. So it's Chopsville. Traders are having a great time, but I think it just looks like reaccumulation to me after a big giant impulse because it's above the 20-month moving average. I think it's going to be fine. If the closer it gets to the 20-month moving average, to me, I think it's like a better reward to risk ratio. The further away from the 20-month moving average is higher risk, but it's just been doing nothing on low volume. So until there's some volume coming in, I don't have much else to say about it. So yeah.
Totally.
All right.
Totally.
All right. So I don't know. I think we have like somebody asked about AMD, AVGO, Hang Seng, Data. I don't know if you want to just do a quick lightning round, just end the show.
Oh, I thought that's your job now.
I'll do it.
No.
I'll do it.
Yeah, do it. Wait, before you do that, I wanted to do XR.
Well, take it away then. Go for it, man.
Yeah. Well, there's no change. All right, on to you.
But XRP going to zero though.
Yeah, it's going to zero. So I had this new GAN. I just wanted to advertise for you guys and just show you how beautiful it has been since the bottom here. Like the orange level, perfect resistance. The blue level, perfect resistance. And now not only is the blue level flipped to a support, also the arc is flipped to a support. So we got lots of confluence of things wanting to just shift up higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. So it's looking really, really nice. And one thing I wanted to point out is on this chart, yes, it's still below this 225, but we can go to linear scale and check out what it's really holding right here. It's holding the linear scale 618, 209. 209. Boom, 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 boom. So you know what? If 209 continues to hold, guys, then we could be going to lots of majestical places in the sky. So maybe where there's some unicorns and rainbows up there and they're pillow fighting. So who knows?
What do you think about the head and shoulder pattern, though?
There's a head and shoulder. What about a knees and toes?
Is there knees and toes? I don't know what toes and knees look like. I can't, you know.
So you think this is the head right here, and this is the left shoulder, and this is the weird right shoulder,
Or
right
maybe
here?
the one to the right there is the right shoulder. That's just like a really,
That's the right shoulder.
yeah, like a little
Like
shoulder.
two heads, a double head,
Yeah,
two-headed monster.
head with cat ears. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the cat formation. It's the classic cat chart. God, I hate those. They're always a bearish signal. Damn it.
Yeah.
You win again, Cads. You win again.
I don't know anything. I see a clear head and shoulder there with two cat ears on the head. So address that, Matt.
But what about this though? What about this arc right here? What about that?
What about it? Tell me more about that arc right there.
I just think it's good. And you know what?
Yeah.
You know what this is really going to mean? It's going to go to this level right here immediately. That's what $44, $50. Immediately.
Hey,
write it on your calendar.
Micro
guys.
to macro don't think
Immediately.
so. I mean, that's
yeah, he hates it.
He hates XRP so much.
I don't understand. Why do you hate bullish charts?
Well,
it just doesn't make sense.
You know, but yeah. But
do you think this is your favorite chart in all of crypto? Because it's been my favorite chart in all of crypto for well over a year.
It looks strong. It does look strong.
Yeah.
I've never really paid that much. You know that I don't care too much about like the head and shoulder kind of thing, especially on these kinds of time frame, because you can have. I see like head and shoulder continuation pattern all the time from the weekly. You know, I remember 2 years ago, everybody's calling like Palantir head and shoulder, head and shoulder, head and shoulder, when prices like in the teens. And I'm like, well, you know, it's consolidating sideways. It's got a lot of really strong moving average trying to push it up, and you know, I don't think it's going to go back to the single digits, and it didn't. So I never really paid that much attention. But that's like the first pattern that a lot of people learn. So, and sometimes they can play out. I'm not saying that it won't. I'm just, you know, just trying to challenge you a little bit here instead of just being an echo chamber like we usually. So.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's undeniable how strong it is relative to the rest of the crypto market.
That's a statement. Yeah. Yep. No, it's true. I think that's one of the few that actually is holding a lot of strength and is showing a lot of relative strength, and you can't deny that. I won't deny you.
I don't even think there is any chart that's more bullish than this chart on the high time frame.
I like the Doge chart because it's forming more higher highs and higher lows. Like it looks more healthy.
And it already corrected massively, so it has more bullish divergence.
Just because I still see the formation being very healthy. But anyway, like I think XRP has been holding fine. So.
But it's really reminding me of kind of this time right here back in 2017, how it had a massive move and it didn't really go lower. Like I think back then everybody was expecting it to just collapse too, and it never did. It just kind of drifted sideways a little bit until like these candles got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and then boom, just took off. So I think we're kind of in that same stage right now where these weekly candles are getting kind of smaller and smaller and smaller, and so maybe one of these weeks will just take off, you know, to the upside. I mean, could it go? What did it launch up here? It went up what, 1,200%, 1,300%. Could it do another 1,200% from here? I mean, that would be basically that arc.
That's your thesis for sure. I mean, it's basically proof about your arguing back testing it. Makes,
Oh, that would be $26 too, and that's kind of like a fib level too, I believe, right? Well, isn't that a fib level? Let's see. We're doing some discovery together. Yeah, it's the 1.618. That's basically the same percentage gain from last time in 2017. Ooh, history does rhyme. Well, let's see.
Yeah. Do you guarantee it, Maspi?
Well, kind of like the Men's Warehouse. Like, you're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it. Like, it's kind of like that kind of guarantee because it's very subjective. Like, sometimes people think you look good, sometimes people don't. So it's very subjective. So yeah, and that kind of guarantee, then yes.
Well, I mean, like with that said, there's always a possibility that we get rug pulled, and you know, COVID 2.0 actually happens. Like, who knows? But this
Yeah.
still looks like a big impulse in consolidation. From like a cycle perspective, it doesn't necessarily mean that's the top, and
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people are getting hung up on. Like usually cycles don't stop when you break about the 0.786 and 0.86, like that usually it doesn't stop there, but who knows.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, go ahead with your lightning round.
Whatever. Lightning rounds. Here we go. QBTS. I think there's a little bit of a changing character here. A lot of people get really scared whenever things move up parabolically, or even $1 all the way to like $10. But the reality is this has been a big giant move here on increasing volume, and it turned. This is like the Ichimoku cloud analysis here. I got the conversion here in the baseline. Here you had a bullish cross a few months ago, and price continued to be above the conversion and the base up here on the monthly. Matter of fact, even break inside the immature Ichimoku cloud here on a monthly above the leading span A over here. All these are pretty bullish development. It's forming a nice bull flag over here. And I think the selling volume here is kind of declining. And right now we a little bit range bound, but we're breaking some pretty important level here. So I actually think it's a pretty decent setup for QBTS, which is kind of crazy because how the market has been rug pulling us. This thing over here has actually been holding extremely well. And I do have a log scale gain. Got rejected here at the angle. You see how this angle is pretty important. Got rejected over here, come back down, back test the arc, and it's just trying to break about the 0.86 right now, right? But it's still holding a golden pocket here, and it broke above it. It's still basically doing a little bit of cat ears here, so maybe like XRP it might do fine. And a lot of people might worry about like double top here, but this is also like a little bit of a W shape here. I think it's just consolidating sideways over here. But if you look at the monthly here, I like the way that it looked on the Ichimoku. I just it's kind of breaking in. So I think it's probably going to do okay. Can it get rug pull and go down a lot further? Yeah. Can it go down all the way down to like $2 or $3? I doubt it. I doubt it based on the way it looks right now. But do I like a stock like this whenever it make like 10x? No, I don't tend to gravitate towards these stocks. So I still think it's a little bit inherently risky because you never know whenever you make a big giant move. I like to buy things you're seeing like Drew bottom over here, and whenever I see something like that, I just want to hold. So to me, I think this is a hold because there's always a risk to go down lower, but I just cannot really guarantee it like Man's Warehouse. Speaking of which, I think someone asking about AMD. I think AMD has bottomed because it really looks like it's just been going downwards for a whole year on declining volume. I think it went to a very, very important level over here, which is the Ichimoku cloud on the monthly here. Bounce off the top here beautifully, right? On top of that, that level is also 0.5 fib. So it did touch the 0.5 fib also very quickly here. Now, with that said, even though I think it's bottom, I don't think it's this like a V shape from here because you got a lot of these like resistance about. We have a bearish cross here of the Tenkan occasional conversion baseline. And because of that, you're going to have, a little bit more resistance here. And Tenkan order conversion is going down. Whenever price end up going back up there to around 120s, 130s, you might end up getting rejected there. Might end up making a little bit of higher low here before further bullish continuation. You also have the 20 moving average over here that has flipped from support here to now potential resistance. And whenever you end up having price count down underneath the 20 moving average, you can potentially have the 20 moving average kind of go down here a little bit, maybe to the 130s, maybe to high 120s, and then potentially start as resistance here. You might get rejected here, maybe hopefully make another higher lower here before further bullish continuation, which is kind of what I see here with the Ichimoku cloud, right? Can potentially come back down, back test before going up higher. So I can't really guarantee you that this is just going to end up V-shaped from here. I do see more resistance here. I do see a little bit more repairing that needs to be done. Kind of like over here, you can see how it kind of needs this time, kind of break it up before going up further. So I'm going to be like, hey, I think it's a problem, but it might not just go up like, straight up like what some people might think. Looking at Broadcom, I think it's just simply a little bit way too far overextend. We just talk a lot about the semiconductor, space. A little bit of behavior that I don't generally like to see. I like to see a bull market riding the blue line up, right? I like to see that serve as support here on the Tenkan conversion line. Whenever it breaks down underneath the conversion Tenkan blue line over here and gets closer to the kitchen or the baseline over here, it's a little bit of exhaustion. You can see how this over here is a little bit exhaustion. You see how over here a little bit exhaustion. So I do think that there's a little bit of change of behavior here that does make me wonder a little bit more. On top of that, you also have the 20-month moving average, which has been not touched here for about 2 years, and it's becoming more and more flat here, right? Kind of like how it became more and more flat here, kind of like how it became maybe more and more flat over here, right? Sometimes you can still bounce out and go higher, like over here. Even though it became more flat, it just bounced and just kept going, making another leg higher. So who knows what it's going to do, but I just think that maybe it's getting a little bit more tired here, and I just want to be maybe a little bit more cautious. Now, on top of all that, this is one that has ran a lot, and I'm talking about running like a lot. You're talking about a stock that have went up to the 3.618 log fib, right? This is crazy. It's like you're talking about NVIDIA, it got rejected at the 2.272. But Broadcom went all the way to the 3.618. So no, I don't want to buy Broadcom. I'm just going to leave it alone. I have exposure to it anyway from like index funds and whatnot. But it's just getting a little bit tired, went way too far, way too fast, and it's just I just don't see the risk reward ratio necessarily being in AVGO here at this time. Somebody asked me about Hang Seng Index. I think it also went a little bit too far, too fast. You just probably need to kind of cool down here. On the monthly chart, there's nothing wrong with this bull trend. It's more like higher highs and higher lows. I think it's going to continue to do that because the Bollinger Band is expanding. Here on the monthly, 20-month moving average has clearly been flipped from resistance here to support, and is from negative slipping here to positive slipping here with a Bollinger Band expanding. This is a very, very nice bull trend, but we are running a little bit too far. Last month candle was close above the upper Bollinger Band here. This month we're starting back below over here, which is healthy. On top of that, you look at Ichimoku, it also barely made above the Ichimoku cloud up here. And it could potentially end up just starting to support and just correct sideways over here. But it's a little bit way too far away from the conversion line from the Tengen over here. Do I think it's going to plummet all the way down to the bottom of the cloud? Probably not. But I just don't like to get into something whenever things are just a little bit too far away from the Tengen for the conversion line. Generally, things cool down, from that. You see how it went a little bit too far, got rejected to the cloud, a little bit way too far away from the blue line here. Come back down, grab it back down, right? Tested support before pushing up on the way up. Even on the way down, you see how whenever you have like these kind of big giant rug pull down, it's still gravitating back up to the blue line, right? I mean, that's what you're seeing here. So I generally don't like it when things are a little bit too far from the blue line. It doesn't mean that it's a sell. It could potentially be a hold because it can just keep going sideways over here. Correct, maybe wait for the blue line and kind of catch up here over next coming months. But it's a little bit overextended here, so I'm just going to be a little bit more cautious here. The same story goes to Alibaba, actually. It's got rejected here at 0.5. You can also put Ichimoku. It did break inside Ichimoku, right? It could potentially hold inside Ichimoku, but it could end up going back down, back test the bottom of Ichimoku cloud over here around 120s. I think that's entirely possible. And I think that there are also some further support down here in the 0.382 fit level, low fit level here around 111 to be precise, and that's also where the blue line here, the conversion line is at right now, right? Does it have to come back and back test this horizontal zone? Very important zone over here, right? Broke above, get inside the cloud. Does it break down underneath the cloud and back test that zone? That's always a possibility. Does it have to do that? Not necessarily. So I think this is probably like a hold. Some people might want to sell if they want to trade these moves up and down, but I can't really guarantee you in terms of what a higher low is going to be. I think eventually it's going to end up forming a higher low. Is this it? Sideways here underneath the 0.5 before pushing up higher? Maybe. I just find it to be a little bit less likely. Maybe come back down to the 120s, maybe back test the bottom of the cloud before further bullish continuation. That's maybe a little bit more likely scenario, but it doesn't always have to happen. Can it break down underneath the cloud to the 0.32? That's also possible. If that does that would be a great buying opportunity to me. Can it break down further like Tesla and you just keep going down to the 236? Anything's possible. I just find a scenario to be a little bit less likely. Anyway, I think that's all the 5 things that have been requested. So, and thank you for enjoying my Nirvana cover, Jules. I appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed playing tonight.
Yeah. And that question of the what channel indicator, it's called a fib channel. It is actually a channel based off of the Fibonacci sequence. So yeah, it is mathematical. It's not just arbitrary. So it's in the TradingView drawing tools. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like somebody also mentioned about the Bitcoin miners. Yeah, they've been pretty brutal. I mean, I think that there's no guarantee that they're going to end up recovering and go to the moon. But I still don't think the cycle's over, and I think the sentiment is just so horrible. I think a lot of the damage that needed to be made before it can even go up are being made. And I think that small caps have also been damaged enough to key support levels, which again, I just made the speculation, if you will, that I think the miners are more tied to smaller cap stocks like, Russell 2000, IWM. So, we'll see. I mean, right now it's still a waiting game, but that's why I keep my positions smaller, right? Like I don't ever have like more than 10% of like miners in my portfolio, which is, it's all about like risk assessment strategies. I always like to have some other things to kind of balance it out, like fintech. I think fintech are bottoming out. I think those are looking pretty decent to me. Palantir, I think, is also, just consolidating sideways, but I'm also adding to Tesla. I'm trying to find things that like, show relative strength and try and add into it. But I think the Bitcoin miner has just been beaten down so much, like it makes no sense to sell them right here at these levels, at least for me. So
Yeah. Like, can you at least Men's Warehouse guarantee they're going to go higher?
I don't know. I mean, it's I don't. I'm an ugly cat. I'm not really muscular, tall, or handsome. I look like an Asian version of Rudy Giuliani. That's what I was trying to tell your Telegram group or whatever.
An Asian Rudy Giuliani, a younger,
slightly
Rudy
younger
Giuliani.
version of the Asian Rudy
Slightly.
Giuliani, who looks like he likes to sweat a lot all the time, and that's
Nice.
Yep.
Well,
Good times. Yeah, I think we hit all the highlights. Wilt Chamberlain, Bitcoin, XRP. Yeah, we're good, man. You want to go?
Yeah, it's been an hour and a half, almost exactly.
Yeah,
so we're
enjoy your next drink of Tabasco on whatever, on ice. This
On the
sounds
rocks.
absolutely disgusting.
You never felt alive until you had a Tabasco.
Is it one
on
of
the
those
rocks.
like ice balls and you just like lick the Tabasco off the ice? Like, is it what? Yeah.
Yeah, I like balls.
Let's take it offline. This is not appropriate for the kids.
On that note, let's continue. Yeah. All right. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I'm pretty sure I'll see most of you in the morning on the Matt's being Tracker morning.
We're trying to get Tracker back next week. We'll yeah. Anyway, we'll recuperate. We'll regroup. Yep.
Yep.
All right. Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye.